It's the same business they tried to pull in my day. If it ain't signing that waiver, there's some other choice they're gonna try to make for you. You gotta do what Group 2 wants to do, man. Let me tell you this, the older you do get, the more rules are gonna try to get you to follow. You just gotta keep driving, man. DRIVIN. Alright, welcome back to Live Young Diecast. I'm your host, Lone Star. Now, Spike, that was my pep talk for Group 2. Well, I hope they don't need it, because your impression is terrible. Spike, I think it's the effort that counts here, man. Now let's meet our first driver. It's Numbskull from Numbskull Racing. He weighs in at 60 grams in a 67 Pontiac Firebird, and it's got flames. He'll be coming in pretty hot. That certainly is the assignment. Up next is Stevenson from Chaos Canyon Racing in New Zealand. He weighs in at 51 grams, and glad we got our hands on this one. All right, it's Slick Fitty from Stupid Fish Racing, 60 grams. He will be piloting a 1970 Dodge Charger. Last up is Iro Poet from Hardcore Poetic Racing, 58 grams in the 71 Plymouth GTX. We're in the grid for race number 1. All right, Slick Fitty and Numbskull in the back for race number 1. Stevenson's up front on the outside, and Iro Poet in pole position. They'll come through the first 90, and it's a race to the bridge. Stevenson is going to win that one. Coming out of the first 90, a push from Iro Poet. He gets tossed. Slick Fitty is tossed. Numbskull and Iro Poet are hanging in there. Here comes a drift from Stevenson, and it opens the door for Iro Poet and Numbskull to pass. They just split him up and take sides going by in the home stretch. Here on the replay, Stevenson drifts, allowing this push from Iro Poet. It starts is the catalyst for this carnage in the turn, the Moontower turn. Here we have a little drift, slows him down. Iro Poet's like, I'll go by on the left. Numbskull takes the right, and that is 1 and 2. Iro Poet, Numbskull. Stevenson for third, and we do not have Slick Fitty. He DNF'd, but Iro Poet's got this win after race number 1. It's a 15.7640 to Iro Poet on the lap, and Slick Fitty on his lid in the turn near the Moontower. All right, race number 2. We have Numbskull in the back with Stevenson, and it's Iro Poet up front, and that is Slick Fitty in pole position in that 70 Dodge Charger. He's going to hold off Numbskull in the first turn, hanging in there tight. We lost the rest of the group. Numbskull trailing on Slick Fitty. Can he hang on here? He's going to go in, and Numbskull's going to shovel him across the line. That was a smart move from Slick Fitty, who saw Numbskull coming in on the inside to pass. Why not just turn in, let him shovel you through? Smart move from Slick Fitty. On the replay, it's just the two of them, Numbskull and Slick Fitty, just close. They're just a few inches apart, bumper to bumper throughout this run. And this is a classic defensive move from Slick Fitty to take the win on lap number 2. Numbskull sits with 6. We got 4s to Slick Fitty and Iro Poet trading wins there. Stevenson has some work to do, and Slick Fitty pulls down a 14.3575. It's a good time. All right, Stevenson and Iro Poet in the turn. That is the triangle of death. And we are into race number 3. It is Stevenson, Iro Poet on the back. Numbskull has pole position. Slick Fitty on the outside. This could be it for the rest of the group. Numbskull, an easy win here from this position. Someone's got to take him, and he's going to hold on to the 180. He drifts, though. This is a chance for Stevenson. He's going to shovel him. Pushing. Everyone comes in. Iro Poet gets in on it, but Numbskull survives. He's still in front. Stevenson cannot get through on the home stretch, and that is Numbskull with a win. This is going to do it right there in race number 3. He's going to advance. On this replay, Stevenson has the best chance of taking one away here from Numbskull, especially with this drift. He comes in on the inside. It's a great move. Numbskull turns sideways, and it just slows everybody down. We lose Iro Poet on his lid, and Stevenson, not enough gas in the tank to hammer down on the line and take down Numbskull. He's got 10 points. There is no recovery for the rest of the group. So we've got race number 4 coming up. This is a victory lap for Numbskull, who might sit with a little more than 10 points here. He's going to be on the front outside, and that's a slow time. It doesn't matter. Everyone got hung up here in the triangle, and he drifted in slowly for that time. No worries. He's on the outside front. Stevenson's up front on the inside. You got Iro Poet and Slick Fitty on the back. And this is a victory lap for Numbskull. Can he win this drag race? He will over Stevenson, showing his speed. Numbskull, the classic diecast racing prodigy. He is just going to coast right in. We can't even keep up with him. He is through. That's going to be a good time. Stevenson comes in for a second from Chaos Canyon Racing. And this is it. Just the 1 and 2 from Stevenson and Numbskull. We lost Slick Fitty and Iro Poet. Let's see what happened to those guys. Now, those Chargers and the GTXs going to be a little difficult on this track, especially in the triangle. Slick Fitty on his lid right there just turns into it, and that holds up Iro Poet, so that'll be the end of it for them. 3 DNFs each and only coming away with 4. They did have some speed, were able to get a win, but Stevenson with 8, respectable. Numbskull secures 14 points and a sub-14 lap time on that last run. Pretty solid. We got Slick Fitty and Iro Poet, victims of the pool turn. We'll say goodbye to them as well as Steve Stevenson. Thanks for coming so much, fellas. It's a big congratulations to Numbskull. He'll be moving into the final with 2K. Now, Spike, you're not going to find any secrets in that trunk, man. Well, it would be a whole lot cooler if I did. Spike, you are catching on, my friend. All right, y'all. If you hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell, we'll see you next week for Group 3 Racing. And y'all remember, to live young, die cast.